Bro, to be honest, I think both of them have like a messaging issue. Seriously. One of them has the ability to, let's say, deliver decently. I would give that person a 6 out of 10. Right? The other person, the delivery exclusively is based on who they're talking to. Okay. So like if you are a woman, 8 out of 10 delivery, I'd say. Right. But if you are a man, probably 2 out of 10. Just to be honest here. I mean, there's nothing in it for men. But either way, I think that's really what's going on deeply, right? Now, specifically minority voters, I think minorities in the United States of America are absolutely sick and tired of the Democrat Party and their nonsense, bro. Being honest, right? The only time you matter is what time of the year? When is election time? Or when the election time run-up is happening, let's say. That's the only time you literally matter to that group. So does it surprise me that the right is now pulling in a lot of minorities? No, it doesn't surprise me at all. How could it? Just look at the numbers, bro. I mean, you'll see over the last decade the amount of minorities, let's say, right, have been completely leaving the Democrat Party, right? In fact. But all right, let's go ahead and jump into this immediately. I think this is a more indicative of a fair society than anything else, but let's see where this takes us. Let's jump into it.
This video was brought to you by Nebula. For most of the past few decades, the Democrats have been the party of America's minorities. In the 2000s, the prospect of an increasingly diverse America, combined with the fact that more and more young Americans were going to college, made Democrat analysts very optimistic about their party's dominance in future presidential elections. And books like this one were written promising that Democrats would dominate the electoral map for decades to come. Now, Barack Obama's success in 2008 and 2012, where he fared remarkably well with minorities while holding his own among white voters, including those without a college education, seemed to confirm this hypothesis. But by 2016, everything had changed. Hillary Clinton did worse with basically every demographic than Obama. And Joe Biden's victory in 2020 was driven by an improvement in non-college educated white voters, with 33% voting for Biden compared to 28% voting for Clinton in 2016. These were the voters in Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania who helped Biden defeat Trump in 2020. When Trump actually had the most diverse Republican coalition since George W. Bush in 2004. This trend has apparently continued into 2024. While polling suggests that Harris has recovered some of Biden's losses, Trump is still performing.
Yeah, that was exclusively like Black American women that were planning to most likely sit out. That's it.
While polling suggests that Harris has recovered some of Biden's losses, Trump is still performing pretty
and South Asians
well with minority voters, at least by historical standards. So in this video, we'll take a look at how the demographic map is changing and try our best to figure out why this might be.
Okay. Let's hear your thoughts on it. Oh, this is the channel that the video is coming from, guys. TLDR, News Global.
Before we start, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing and ringing the bell to stay in the loop and be notified when we release new videos.
What just happened?
First, let's take a look at the data. Pew Research polling from September suggests that Harris currently enjoys an 18-point lead with Hispanic voters, with 57% of registered Latino voters saying that they'll vote for Harris and 39% saying that they'll vote for Trump.
I'm gonna be honest, that's pretty much a given, okay? Like specifically like that group, yeah, it makes all the sense in the world. But I guess it all depends on where that the Latino is actually coming from, right? Like if they're coming from a country that was basically ravaged by extreme left-wing politics, you could basically forget about that immediately. I'm guessing that's what's making up the 39%, and the rest are just basically coming from whatever, bro. But it's definitely that 39% are going to be the countries that were just completely taken over.
Well, this represents a significant improvement from polls done in the days before Biden dropped out, when Biden had just a 5-point lead. It's still down slightly from 2020, when Biden achieved a 21-point lead, winning 59% of the Hispanic vote, and well down from 2016, when Clinton achieved a 38-point lead, winning 66% of the Hispanic vote. Similarly, Pew polling from August found that Harris enjoyed a 64-point lead among black voters, with 77% of registered black voters saying that they'd vote for Harris, and 13% saying they'd vote for Trump. Again, this is an improvement from Biden, who, according to a Siena poll from earlier this year, had his lead cut to just 43 points. But it's still down from 2020, when Biden achieved an 84-point lead, winning 92% of the black vote.
Yeah, that was almost exclusively due to the holdover from Obama.
And on 2016, when Clinton achieved an 85-point lead. These Republican gains in Hispanic voters have been particularly great for Trump, though, because of how they've affected the electoral map. In short, Trump's gains amongst Hispanic voters have turned Florida, which has 30 electoral votes, from a crucial swing state in 2016 to a solidly red state in 2024. This is particularly apparent if you look at the county of Miami-Dade, which is where the city of Miami is located. In 2016, Clinton won it by 30 points, but in 2020, Joe Biden won it by only 7.5 points. Helped by a strong performance in Florida's northern rural areas, Trump won the state comfortably in 2020 and is due to win it in 2024 by about 3 points, at least according to current polls. That being said, other states, including Arizona and Texas, have shifted towards the Democrats due to their growing Hispanic populations, but this is yet to make a big difference to the Electoral College arithmetic.
Right.
Anyway, before we get into the reasons, a tiny bit more data. Trump is also performing particularly well with Arab Americans. An Arab American Institute poll from last month found that Trump actually had a 1-point lead, with 42% of Arab Americans saying that they were planning on voting for Trump compared to a 41% for Harris. This is way down from the 30-point lead that Biden enjoyed in 2020, when about 65% of Arab Americans said that they voted Democrat. Perhaps the only minority group where Harris is outperforming 2020 is Asian Americans. A poll from September found that Harris had a 38-point lead with Asian Americans, with 66% saying that they'd back Harris compared to 28% backing Trump. This is a marked improvement from Biden, who had a 15-point lead before he dropped out, and a 29-point lead in 2020. So why is this? Well, there are actually specific reasons for each of these individual groups. Polling suggests that Gaza is the top issue for Arab Americans, and even if Trump is in many ways more pro-Israel than Harris, Biden's Israel policy means that nearly 80% of Arab Americans now disapprove of the current Democratic administration. When it comes to black voters, Republicans have made especially strong gains with young black voters, who might plausibly be less loyal to the Democrats, given the declining salience of the civil rights struggles of the 1960s. When it comes to Hispanic voters, polling suggests that the economy is their top priority, and this is Harris's weakest area, along with foreign policy.
Yeah, bro, no one believes her. That's the problem. She said, whatever we've gone through in the United States of America in terms of the economy, right? It's completely fine because we're going to keep it the same. Basically, I'm paraphrasing here. That she didn't say that exactly, but what she did say was that she'd keep basically everything the same. She said it on The View.
Certain Hispanic groups, especially diasporas from communist countries with struggling economies like Venezuela, are also more likely to be right-wing on economic issues.
Instantly.
And the Trump campaign has, with some success, presented the Democrats as socialist or even communist, while criticizing them for being soft on Cuba and Venezuela. However, as well as these group-specific reasons, there are also at least two general reasons to explain this realignment.
Okay.
First, America's non-white voters have actually always held more conservative views than their voting patterns would suggest. You might think that because black and Hispanic voters historically vote Democrat, they'd be on the left when it comes to social issues.
And that's wrong. I'm going to tell you this right now. In terms of, like, everything that people talk about in like the media, like the causes that matter to people, I have not encountered a black male that cares about any of that stuff, any of it. Right? Not like that. I mean, I guess if you go to certain parts of the country, I mean, maybe that you'll hear more of it, right? But it's not really that that in your face for some reason. I mean, in Africa specifically, if you refer to people of African descent, Africa is probably one of the most conservative continents you will ever encounter. Okay. And that's the thing. So the reason why the Democrats generally tend to pull in more is because they are kind of softer, right? Like they're softer in their overall delivery, and then that tends to attract people. But politically, like social issues, most black people don't care about any of that stuff. Like the majority, like speak to any elderly black person in America, you'll realize how much they do not care about whatever social issue you're trying to sell them. They don't care about it. But they're only there, obviously, because they're being coddled, right? And it's the craziest thing in the world, but that generally seems to be kind of the main issue here, right?
But that's not actually true. Even a decade or so ago in 2012, non-white voters were far more likely than white voters to vote Democrat, but still identify as conservative, prefer restrictions on abortion, and prefer a smaller state. An analysis by John Byrne Murdoch at the Financial Times has shown that what's happened in the past few years is that ideologically conservative non-white voters who used to vote Democrat have just started voting Republican, as you'd sort of expect. In 2012, for instance, even very conservative black voters voted overwhelmingly for the Democrats, but in 2020, they split evenly for Biden and Trump. Similarly, in 2012, very conservative Hispanics voted for Republicans by a 20-point margin, but by 2020, that had increased to about 50 points. Byrne Murdoch argues that this is in part because minorities have become more likely to socialize outside of their racial group, and this erodes group-wide taboos on Republican voting. The second reason, though, is Obama. In short, it's not that Democrats always did better with minorities, but rather that Obama did. And you can see this by looking at the midterms when Obama himself wasn't on the ballot. In 2010 and 2014, Republicans won about 10% of the black vote and about 35% of the Hispanic vote, similar to Trump's performance in 2016. While Republicans have continued to gain ground since 2016, the point we're making here is that this realignment isn't as sudden as Obama's overperformance can make it seem. Now, how all of this will shake out in the 2024 demographic voting is yet to be seen. And honestly, it's not that easy to predict. That's made yet harder by how unpredictable this election season has been thus far. After all, who would have predicted a last-minute change of candidate, let alone talk of burying bears in Central Park, Brad Summers, or Elon Musk joking about assassination attempts back at the start of the year? But we have been paying attention to all of those things, because they're not just silly, they're actually politically quite important. We've actually been documenting them in WTF USA, our slightly tongue-in-cheek look at the US election. Each week, we dive into the online discourse, explain the politics behind the stories, and tell you if you really need to pay attention. For example, in recent episodes, we've talked about Trump's foray into the world of crypto, claims of dog eating, and AI-generated Musk memes. These might sound stupid, but they actually tell us a lot about the candidate's economic plans, the state of post-truth politics, and how the US feels about its deficit. That is to say, WTF USA brings you the wildest moments from the 2024 election, tells you the hidden political meaning behind each of them, and then if you can just ignore the chaos, or if you should follow along. New videos come out every Friday only on Nebula. That's the streaming service we've built alongside a bunch of our creator friends, and where you can find all kinds of superb content.
All right, guys. All right, I had to verify that was what we had to watch. All right, really quickly. All right, so here's the thing, guys. It doesn't surprise me. None of this surprises me, bro. None of this. Like, it makes all the sense in the world pretty much based off of what I encounter on a daily basis, right? Versus what I see online, people are talking about, right? Like, some of these, like, small, like, 1%, 2% of the population issues, and I mean this, I don't know a single black male that cares about a single bit of it. Right. That could just be the group of people that I surround myself with or what it is, whatever it is. But like, I don't hear these things. Right. I don't hear these issues being relevant, and the Democrat Party specifically only seems to promote issues that really don't matter to black men specifically. To black women, most likely because, I don't know, but they do. It matters to them. But most black men I've encountered, again, just don't care. So does it surprise me that Trump is grabbing minority voters like it's basically popcorn? No, doesn't surprise me, bro. It doesn't. It just doesn't. But all right, listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day. thoroughly.
Guys, before we go, are you guys subscribed to the other channels? Logical Movie Reviews with Mr. L. Boyd along with Mr. L. Boyd Music. Both are found in the description. Check it out.